5-part beginner's course in how to drape on the stand. As well as covering the lessons on actual modelling, also called draping, on the stand, you will also pick up on the way techniques on how to press your work, how to sew out the darts, how to sew out your shoulder and side seams, and anything else I can think of. The first 4 parts are lessons which will take you through the following process. The first step of each of those lessons will be to create a block on the stand. The second step will be to take the block from the stand and put it onto paper to create our patterns. The third step will be using the patterns in paper with calico, cutting them out to create your toile or prototype. And the fourth and final step will be showing you how to put the pattern pieces together to form your 3-dimensional toile. This process will, I promise, become clearer as I start the lessons. I will now briefly go through the 5 parts of this beginner's package. The first lesson will show you how to drape the basic bodice block, and that's going to consist of a front block that has a shoulder dart and a waist dart, and the back block that has a short shoulder dart and a waist dart. This basic shape is what you will use for all other designs that are the entire top of the stand. You would go back to that basic way of drafting this block to design really anything you like from that. So this is how you start. Lesson 2 is actually a different style of block, and it shows you a different way of fitting, and that is going to be a strapless block that potentially could become the top of an evening dress, using what's called the princess line, which runs straight down through the bust to the waist. And the back of the block will have a style seam running down the back princess line section also to the waist. If you're designing a strapless bodice, you have to design it as a strapless bodice, fitting it to this section of the stand all the way around. It won't work if you just chop off the top of your basic initial bodice block. So this is why I decided that it would be quite nice to have a choice of 2 bodices, and there's no reason why you couldn't take your basic strapless bodice, turn it into the top of a sundress, add a skirt, put them together, and you've got a dress. Lesson 3 is to show you how to drape the basic skirt block, and this is going to have 2 waist darts either side of the centre front, and the same at the back with a centre back seam. You'll also be shown an option to turn the 2 front darts into tucks as a design alternative. In lesson 4, you'll take the strapless bodice block that you did in lesson 2 and the skirt from lesson 3, and using the pieces of pattern be shown how to correct them so that they all fit each other at the relevant seam points. And having done that, you'll be shown how to put it together to form a dress. In part 5, I will be showing you a couple of commissions that I did last year and I think the year before, both based on the very simple shape of the bodice block that we will have done in the previous lessons. And I will also be showing you the work done by one of my students, again based on the very simple shape of the basic bodice block. The second part of the end section is going to be me playing around with fabric on the stand, and a variety of different fabrics, because different fabrics handle in very, very varying ways. So if you have a satin, it's going to drape much more lusciously than a tweed. So I'll be fishing out a variety of different materials and exploring some shapes on the dress stand to give you a flavour of what you could do. Okay, I would really hope that you enjoy doing these lessons. I'm passionate about fashion. I've been addicted to sewing, making things, designing things since about the age of 8, and I love teaching. Some of the information within these lessons might be a little bit daunting, but please persevere to the end, because you'll achieve such a lot. You will create, you'll start to create. We all need to create. We all need to create more than we do. And it'll introduce you to the joy of messing around with fabric and having fun, exploring the different shapes that you can make, the different styles that ultimately you might make. And the 3 basic blocks that you learn about in this series are the start of your journey towards designing and making all sorts of different things. And who knows, you might end up as the next best thing as a designer somewhere.